Hello everybody, welcome to part 2 of Jack and the Beanstalk from Maria Trolle's Fairytale Worlds. So, let's start with the sky. Now, if you have Prismacolor, I have a trio here. If you have Polychromos, where are they? Hold on. Polychromos and Albrecht Dürer. So we'll be trying all of these out with different methods to show you how you can use these tools. Now, what gave me the idea to start with Albrecht Dürer is that when I did the other page, let's see if I can find it. This one here, I had a hard time layering all my colors for the sky. So I thought, the smaller parts seem to be okay, the trees and the house, but the sky has to really be able to be smooth, and it was not smooth. It was really not easy. Let's start with Albrecht Dürer, the 145 light phthalo blue. Now this pencil is a very good quality pencil. It's Faber-Castell, and it's the same numbers as the Polychromos, so it's easy to match them up. So let's say here I painted with the Albrecht Dürer 145, and if I take the 145, where's the 145? There. If I take the 145, I know that I'm in the correct colors. I'm in the exact same colors. So I don't have a hard time choosing my palettes. Let's say I wanted to do the pants in blue. You know, it's easy to match the blue. So with the Albrecht Dürer, the lightest one will be the 145. You go very lightly. That's going to be your first coat. We're going to go right up to Jack, little Jack over here. Do you have a Jack in your family? We have a Jack, we have a Jacqueline. You want to try to, you can go lightly. You don't have to go heavy-handed. And in small circles. This can be good for people who have problems with their hands or their wrists. It could be a very gentle way to color. I would say easier than the pencils probably. And if you wanted to, you could just do only with the watercolor. You don't have to do the pencil. The more you do it, the better you get at it. You can get the watercolor effects as well. So this brush that I showed you in part 1 is the Staedtler brush. I like the tip a lot, now that I've tried it out. And the only thing is the water was coming out too fast as I was painting, so I didn't like that part. So what I did today is I took out the water, so there's no water inside the tube, and I'm just dipping my brush instead. and wiping it so it won't be too wet. So again, I go with little circles. The tip is nice enough that I can manage going into the little nooks and crannies. And I prefer to work this way very often. When I started watercolors, this is how I did it. Because you have very little water on your brush, so more control. And you can tell when you need to dip it again, because you can tell the difference in the, how could I say? You can tell by the way it's blending. That's a better way of saying it. And when you have like a straight line like this, you can just dot, dot, dot with what's left on your brush, and it'll help to make that line disappear. Like here, there's a big line, but if I go, take it outwards, dot, 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 we're not going to see the harsh line as much. We try not to go over, like I've already done this area, and so I should not go a second time over it until it's very dry. So to let this dry afterwards, you can actually wait maybe an hour and it'll be dry enough. If you can wait till 2-3 hours, it'll be even better. But sometimes I try and just do my first layer everywhere and then come back the next day for my second layer. Or I'll take the blow dryer. Because there's very little water here, it's okay that the blow dryer will not be able to move any pigment around because there's just very little water here. If you're doing real watercolors on watercolor paper, sometimes you have a lot of water on those, and the paper doesn't drink up the water as quickly. So you don't want to use a blow dryer on those types of papers because it'll move the water around, so it's going to change your look unless that's what you're looking for. All right, so that's the first coat of watercolor. So we'll leave it at that. Then let's go in straight directly with our Polychromos. So the same color as here, the 145 light phthalo blue. And we'll just have a look and see how that goes. Polychromos I don't do backgrounds with because they're very difficult to do a very large area. To get them to look really like smooth, it's doable, but I decided very early on in my experience as a colorist that my backgrounds were going to be with Prismacolors and not Polychromos. Okay, so that's the first Polychromo. Now we'll go with the second. $152 middle phthalo blue. So we'll go in with that. So you're going to notice that you really have to go slowly and not miss anything. Like you really want it to be well done. So it's obviously like time consuming. But watercolor is so much easier and quick. And all these pencils are open stock at the art stores. Well, maybe not for you, depends what country you're in, right? But there. And if I wanted to smooth that out even further, I can show with the white Polychromos, see what that does. I can even go in on top of that with the white Prismacolor. If I find that this color is too bright for me, I want it a little paler, I can use the Prisma white and it will make it paler. Do you see the difference? This is with Prisma, this is without Prisma. There's a huge difference. I'm going very heavy-handed. Okay. I'm going to erase what I went over the line. We'll start out with our lightest, which is the 1087. Sometimes I start with my darkest, and then other times I'm starting with my lightest. So. Okay, and then with the 1024 blue slate. And then with the non-photo blue 919. All right. Now I'm going to put a little bit more 919 here. Okay, and then with the white, just go over that with some white Prismacolor. Make it nice and blended. So. I like the effect when we have different colors, different tints. So with the white, I'm just melting the colors together. I'll go back in with my blue slate over here. So depending on how it's looking, you decide which color you want to go back in with. So you can do all of it with just the Prismas, or all of it with just the polys. And this background is not too bad. It's not as bad as, like, I mean big, it's not too big. So you don't have to spend as much time. I'm gonna try blending this in with a little bit of non-photo. Trying to get a nice transition here. I don't know about you, but I do a lot of blending like this. There. And then the rest I'm going to do like this here that I've done with the watercolor. I just wanted to show you that if you don't want to have the watercolor, you don't have to. You can just do it with pencils. So I'm gonna go back with the, that's Polychromos. I'm having a hard time because I have doubles of everything. Okay, so light phthalo blue, 145. So the rest I can actually do on my own. So it's, once I've put this layer on, like over here, I'll be showing you what I did with this. Here it's dry, I could start here. So my second layer, so that was the first layer of watercolor. The second layer of watercolor is middle phthalo. I'll just say phthalo blue. Okay, so for the second layer, and I'm staying, the darker tones, I'm staying more at the outside of the circle, at the extremity, and in the middle here is lighter. So I'm going to stop about there. Okay, I want to make sure that I don't have a rough edge here, right? So the way I'm going to do that is take my brush, bring it out in circles until you don't really see it much anymore. You can hardly tell that there's a different color there. And then I'm going to come back in. Oh, am I going too far there? So it's worth getting maybe 2, 3 open stock and trying them out. Let's go to the wood over here. All right, so I have Prismacolors, Polychromos, Albrecht Dürer. So I'm going to start with the first coat of Goldenrod 1034. So if you have Prismacolors, or you want to try Prismacolors, you can get a few, just these 3 pencils from the open stock, and try them out. After that, you want to go in with the 945 Siena Brown. This left side of the leaves will be darkest. The exterior, the bottom and the top of the vine is darker. And then with the Sepia 948, I'm going to just do each side like this. And you'll blend that out with the Siena Brown. And then blend that out with the Goldenrod. Okay, if you have the Polychromos, or you're trying out the Polychromos from open stock, your lightest color is 182 brown ochre. Put that everywhere. And then you'll go in with the 283 burnt Sienna. This will be darker on the bottom of this leaf. Polychromos go very well over Prismas, so you can mix no problem. It'll be dark on the left side of this vine here. And then I'll go in with the 175 dark Sepia. Let's blend that sepia out. So we're going to use the burnt sienna 283 to blend that out. All right, I'm gonna go back with the 182 brown ochre. Blend that out. You see there's a difference with, like we're at a couple of layers here. The first layer, how light that is. So you really want to put as many coats as you can to get that color to be really rich. And the more coats you put, the longer your colors will last in time. You'll come back in a year to look in your coloring books and the colors are going to still be pretty, unless you didn't put much pigment. So now you have the Prismacolor way, you have the Polychromos colorway, and we're going to do the Albrecht Dürer. Let's get those Albrecht Dürers. Here they are. Okay. So the first coat is again 182 brown ochre, because Polychromos have the same number as the Albrecht Dürer. So some artists are really, really good with watercolor and will only use the Albrecht Dürer and do some beautiful artwork. As a colorist, a hobby colorist that I am, I like to use them mostly as a base, like I'm doing now. They really help with difficult papers. Sometimes some papers are more difficult than others. We will go ahead and wet our brush, get our little towel out. All right, so let's get that. Look at, you see the color here, how pale it is, and you go in with the water and look at the beautiful color that comes out. Like right away. So it's such a quick way to color if you are having problems with your hands and you just want to be able to put down some color. This is fantastic. There we go. So that's the first layer. And we've put our water down. So now let's go for a second layer, but not here, it's not dry enough. So we're gonna come over here. 283 burnt sienna. So here we go. This is going to be darker on the left side of the leaf and underneath the leaf. And the left side is still wet, so I'm not gonna touch that. So I'm going on each side of the stem. This is the left side of this stem. There we go. Now, with the water, blend that out. Now, for the line to be less harsh, I'm just going in with a clean brush and blending it out. So, here I'm going straight like this, straight like this. I'm cleaning my brush. With a clean brush, I will blend this out. There we go. Whoop. With clean water, you can wash that out. Okay. Okay. Let's do a second coat over here. Okay, here we've already done the second coat, so we'll do the third coat. So the third coat is Dark Sepia 175. I hope this is not all too confusing for you. I'm jumping from one thing to the next. Okay, here we're dark on the left side, so I shouldn't have done this line. So I'm going to try and erase some of it. Okay, that's a little bit later, so okay, here we go. I'm going to just blend that out a little bit with the 283 burnt sienna. You want to do that over your paper so that it doesn't splatter, just in case. You can see the pigment on the brush. So I'm just going to okay, technically I should have waited, I think, till this completely dries, but I was not thinking. I just went ahead and let's go with our third coat over here. This is the 175 Dark Sepia. Be dark on the left side here. And on the left side here. And what I'm going to do is go over that with the 283. I think I'm going to prefer how this is going to look this way. There we go. So a third layer over here on the left side, on the outside. And I'll go over that right away with my second color, which is the 283. I'm going to prefer how it's going to look. There we go. So you see, like, I don't even have to go over this with these. They're finished. I've put the 3 different coats on, and I'm liking how it looks. I will go over them all with the pencils, but I mean, I'm already liking how it looks. Let's do this one here. So the left side here would be dark. The outside. And this is the left side. Okay, after this, we'll finish those little vines, these little ones here. And we still have the goose and Jack to do. All right. See, I can tell I don't like the color when I haven't put the Sienna over the Sepia. I put too much water there, so I'm just going to dry it up and come back. My brush is good. Okay. So I'll be able to do the rest on my own. I will be putting pencil over the whole vine. So let's go to those vines. We'll need the greens. I'm going to start with the darkest green, which is the dark green 909. Here it's going to be very dark because the vine is going over this vine here. I'm going to do the tip with the dark. Over here it's going to be dark because the vine is going over this one. We're going to start off with the dark. We're going to finish off near the leaf with the dark. I'm just going to go back up that way. Okay, the second color is olive green 911. So everywhere there's dark, I'm continuing with the 911. And then with the lightest, the Limepeel 1005. Brush off any dirt there, any residue. Okay, where did I see the... Okay. I keep thinking I'm going to go get a sip of water. But no, that's not the right cup. So that's our Prismacolor vine with the Polychromos. We're going to start with the darkest, which is 165 Juniper Green. So the stem of the leaves. At the bottom over here, there's the stem going over, casting some shading, and we'll do the tip. There. Our second color, I'm starting a cold. So I'm taking lots of candy, whoops. Hulls. For soothing the throat. So everywhere where my darkest is finished, I go on with this olive green, permanent green olive. And the lightest color is the earth green yellowish 168. All right, oh, let's not forget this tiny little one. So I'm going to let this dry some more. I like to wait. And then the Siena Brown 945. I'm using the same colors that we've already used here, so that if you are just buying open stock to try them out, then you don't have to buy too many pencils, because it all depends on what you're doing. So I'm giving options. Okay, we're going to say that there's some shade here. And Sepia. So we just went in with the 945 Siena Brown. Now we're going in with the 948 Sepia. Just thinly, just a thin line on the two sides. Since the hat is round, it'll be darker on the sides. And here we have a fold, so we will go and add this shading. And you can also work both, if you have both at home, Polychromos and Prisma, you can still use both together. So that's the 182 Brown Ochre. And as you know, there we go. So we're using the Goldenrod 1034. A blondish red, right? I'll go in with the Polychromos 182 Brown Ochre. And with this Sepia, I use the Polychromos Dark Sepia 175 and add some shading behind the ear here, underneath the ear, the face, just around the face here, and the ear, where we might have some shading. We could have some shading under the hat. We have some little lines that we could shade. And with the Prisma White, I'm going to sharpen that up with the Doll 133. And I'm going to do the tips. I'm just going to blend the tips because we know that the Prisma White will lighten the color a lot more than the Polychromo. The Polychromo doesn't lighten up as much as the Prisma. So there are times where I prefer the Prisma and there are times where I prefer the Poly. All right. I'm going to see if this white pen works. Just outlining the hair. If I'm hiding, if my hand is in the way, it's just that Sometimes when working with the white, it's easier with if I'm holding the pen closer. I can be more accurate. Okay, I'm going to go back in with the Goldenrod 1034, and this time I'm going to do the shaded areas of our, I don't know if it's a goose, I think it's a goose, but it depends on the version of the story. A hen? So it would be darker under the neck here, let's say on the abdomen. Some of the blue sky can show up here. I'm using the light phthalo blue 145 and just adding some blue in that little tiny spot there. Okay, with the dark sepia, I will go back in those shaded areas, right over the goldenrod. I'm going to erase here where I went over the line. Sometimes everything gets erased, but sometimes it leaves just a bit of the tint, so that's okay. All right, so let's color in this hen or goose or duck. All right. Between the fingers. It's going to be a little bit darker underneath here. Between the fingers, underneath here, it's going to be a little bit darker. We're getting shade from the arm. I'm going to go in with some white. So I'm using the same colors that I've used elsewhere so that you don't have to take out a whole bunch of pencils, or if you're just trying them out, you don't have to buy a whole bunch. And you can use the pencils that you have at home, right? Already, no matter what the brand is. So here I'm just coloring the beak with the Goldenrod 1034. There we go. With my dark sepia, I'm just darkening the eye here. All right, so this I want darker. There we go. Okay, for the clothing, Oh, I just noticed the feathers here for the tail. So Goldenrod. Sepia. Outline those feathers. And I have some shading behind the arm. And then with the white. Okay. Now the face, I'm just going to go over with the white. Very small circles. And very, very lightly with the Goldenrod, because I don't want to use another pencil. So I'm going to go over with some white, the Prismacolor white. We have the neck here that with the Goldenrod 1034. Let's do some little cheeks here, very lightly again. Go over that with the white. I'm going lightly. I'm going to redo the mouth, the eyebrows, because when I went over it with the white Prismacolor, it faded those lines. So with my sepia, my dark sepia 175, all right. Well, if you want to go over the mouth with a red, that would be good too. So with my Juniper Green 165, I'm going to do the outside. So right now I'm with Polychromos. And with the Prisma, it would be the dark green. So we'll go over the Juniper with the dark green. So I put a dark layer and then I go out very lightly. Like that. And that little tie up here, I will go in with the Polychromo Middle Phthalo Blue 152. Just color it all in. And then with my gel pen, I will just add a little white line here just for a bit of light. And then I'm going to go with my blue, non-photo blue, and I will blend this out. The 919 Prismacolor, because I like green and blue together is one of my favorite combinations. All right, I'm going to go back in with my permanent green olive and do the underarm here in green. The little button here in green. And down where the clothing is connecting. Okay, with the white, I will go over all of this, all of that blue, the green, okay, so for the sleeve, I'm going in with my light phthalo blue. Adding a bit more blue here. Then with the 919 photo blue, non-photo blue. Okay. For the pants, I am going to come back with this combination of colors. Okay, the hands will just color a little bit with the Goldenrod. Then some white. Okay, I was forgetting the ears. I'll go over the white that I put over here. The white that I put with the jelly roll is dry enough that my pencil is actually able to color on top of it. So it's less evident. And then with the blue, the light 1087, I can go ahead and color on top of the gel pen that I put over here. Okay, so the jeans. We're forgetting the I'm starting a cold, sorry about my coughing. So with the dark sepia, I'm just going to go over here with the feet, and I'll keep this golden rod. Okay. The next color, let's go over all of this with the brown ochre Polychromos 182. And then with some Siena Brown 945, go underneath for some shading on the outside, the exteriors. It's shading where the cuff is here, and then on each side, underneath, on this side, like that. Let's go in with the Polychromos while we're at it. And then with the dark sepia, the very tip of the pants, very thin line where the shading is. Some shading over here. Under the tail of the hen. And then we'll go back in with our brown ochre 182. Blend that out. And with the white, we will go in the center and just add a little bit of white here, over here, a little bit over here. And for our little patch, we'll go in with some green, permanent green olive 167. The middle color green. If you have the Prismas, it's going to be either the dark green. Where's my other one? There it is, 911 olive green. And with the Limepeel 1005 from Prismacolor, we will blend all of this together. I'll go back in with the 911 olive green and just do a very light coat, just so that the line will not be as harsh. And some white in the center. Okay, so I'm going to put some white here, just a line here, over here. All right. Now for the blue background here, and for this around here, I'll do the speed coloring. You already know the combos, so you'll be able to go ahead and do that also.